Good afternoon, guys. I just want to chat with you guys for a little bit about reading racetracks. My name is Morgan Carter, and this is for EDN through 19. What is a reading track, for starters? It is specifically known as a fun alternative and to better engage students with strengthening sight word fluency and identification. This tool can be manipulated in various ways to better meet the needs of students and teachers. This is something I found very interesting because I have always thought that learning in a disguised way could be very beneficial in the long run. Racetrack format. When starting this setup, a reading racetrack is usually designed to have 28 spaces divided into 4 lists of 7 words that students are asked to master. These are usually listed 4 times, but that can be manipulated however you see fit. A stopwatch is set to 1 minute. Meanwhile, the students are encouraged to read as many words as possible in the time allotted. Taking it a step further, in some instances, the student may be able to read the words faster, so they make it all the way around. So if this happens, you are encouraged to get the student to continue reading to see exactly how many words they can achieve in that minute. Finally, the students' results are recorded on a chart similar to the one listed on the right on the screen, indicated the words they got correct, the errors they hit, and the words they should use a little more practice on. In this video, he demonstrates perfectly what it is like to have this racetrack on the most common forms.
Hi, I'm Jim Rock, and welcome. This Intervention Pathways video is a quick how-to for using a fun strategy called reading racetracks to build a student's sight word vocabulary. The reading racetrack is an intervention that puts a sight word list into a game-like racetrack format. The student reads the words aloud from that racetrack for 1 minute and records their reading performance, and then they repeat their reading of the words in the racetrack several times as they attempt to reach that preset fluency goal that we'll talk about. To create a set of racetracks for an intervention, you must first choose a master word list, such as the Dolt or the Fry word list. Really, you can pick any word list you like. You then select 28 words from that word list, that's what you need for one session, and organize those into 4 shorter lists of 7 words each. By the way, for this demonstration, I'll be using words from the Dolt Grade 1 word list. Along with the word list, you'll also need 5 copies of the Reading Racetrack form, and you'll need 1 copy of the Reading Racetrack score sheet. Now, don't worry, I'll give you instructions at the end of this video about how you can download these forms, for free of course. You'll also need a stopwatch. Next, you'll fill out the racetrack forms. We'll start by creating racetracks using these 4 short lists of 7 words each that we just created. We call these target racetracks because they contain our 4 target word lists. You fill out 1 copy of the reading racetrack for each list, writing a word from your 7 word list into each numbered blank on the form and repeating those words in random order until all 28 blanks of the racetrack are filled in. When a target racetrack form is completely filled out, each word from that 7 word list should appear 4 times on the racetrack. You can see, for example, that the word no from our list appears 4 times in random order on our example of a target racetrack. When you're done creating your 4 target racetracks, you'll still need to make 1 more, which we'll call the review reading racetrack. To make this final racetrack, you combine all 28 words from your 4 short word lists, and you enter these in random order onto that racetrack form. Now, our preparation is done. It's time for the student to complete the racetracks, I should say. During the intervention session, the student is first directed to complete the 4 target racetracks, and then they move on to complete that final review racetrack. So, here are directions for completing any racetrack, whether target or review. There's just 5 simple steps. Step 1, give directions. So you give the student a copy of the racetrack, and you tell them that they'll have 1 minute to read as many words from that sheet aloud as possible. If they complete that whole circuit of 28 words before their minute is up, you direct them to keep reading until told to stop. Step 2, complete the racetrack. You You say, on your mark, get set, go, and you start your stopwatch. While the student reads words aloud, you write down any errors. If the student hesitates for longer than 3 seconds on a word, you say the correct word and you record this as an error. When that minute is up, you tell the student to stop reading. Step 3, we record the student's score. So together with the student, you count up both the total number of words read correctly and errors, and you record them on the Reading Racetrack score sheet. You also have the option to copy any error word onto the score sheet if you choose in the space marked practice words, just to help you keep track of them. Step 4, practice those error words. For each error word from the reading that the student just did, you point to the word and you say it aloud. Next, you have the student say the word in unison with you. Then the student says the word aloud independently and ends by repeating the word correctly 3 times in succession. Finally, step 5. Repeat the racetrack until reaching the goal. You have the student continue timed readings of that same reading racetrack until that student manages either to read at least 90 words correctly in 1 minute or has attempted the racetrack a total of 5 times. Then they're ready to move on to that next racetrack. Okay, we've reached the end of this tutorial. If you would like to read more about how to use reading racetracks, just visit this web address to download a handout. Just look for the link for the title of this Intervention Pathways video. I'm Jim Wright. Thanks for watching.
Okay, when it comes to applying the method, I found an article that starts out by the effects of reading racetracks and flashcards on sight words vocabulary of 3 third grade students with a specific learning disability. These participants were 3 9-year-old boys that were diagnosed with a learning disability. They were experimented in an alternative setting within the school that is separate from the classroom. The outcomes measured correct and incorrect words read, as indicated in the videos before. And ultimately, it concluded that reading racetracks are effective in increasing children's sight words vocabulary when they are paired with flashcards. Personally speaking, I think this method is very beneficial within the classroom, but also in tutoring sessions and other means like that. Repetition is always key when it comes to a student, but especially those with disabilities in a general education classroom. As I mentioned briefly before, I like to think of it as learning as in disguise. When you can convince a student that they are learning differently, they tend to be more engaged and participate more because they don't think they're actually learning. And I think this is a fun way and that can be, modified to create or meet certain needs. And lastly, competition against another student could be a way to create a bit more motivation if the fun starts to decrease. Sometimes I have seen firsthand where students just get burnt out or tired of something, and I can't say that I blame them. Reading the same words over and over could get kind of boring. So if you have another student also struggling with the same things, encourage them to master the words, and then maybe pairing them with a classmate could make it more engaging. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was informational.